This is my year 2022 in review. I had several goals for this year. First and foremost, I wanted to stay healthy and consistent with my mileage. Secondly, I wanted to PR in the marathon and maybe some other distances too. And third, my big moonshot goal was to break 240 in the marathon. Let's see how that went. The year started off great. I had a steady mileage build after my fall races in London and Boston, but some brutally cold runs and probably too much Peloton ultimately led to an early season injury. I had to ditch the bike and ultimately took 2 months off of running too. Fortunately, I discovered strength training as a means to stay productive. I finally got back to running, including squeezing in some runs on spring break before hitting the slopes. I ultimately got 5 good weeks of running in before heading back to Boston for Patriots Day weekend. This also happened to be Easter weekend, so this year we brought the girls and lots of candy. We did our usual shakeout run on the Charles River, and it was super cool to run into Reed Fisher and Meb. The weather on race day was gorgeous, and despite my lack of running fitness, my extra strength training carried me through the hills into Boston for a Boston PR of 2:46. As Brad would say, I got that bread. After getting out of Boston healthy, it was time to set sights on Bayshore just 6 weeks away. I got a few good 50 to 60 mile weeks in, including a couple good workouts. One of those workouts was a half marathon in Green Bay, which included a lap around Lambeau Field. My Garmin seemed to think that I was ready to rock. As per usual, the very flat Bayshore Marathon course was a very evenly paced affair. I latched on to the second and third place women who were on 2:40 pace. Unfortunately, I fell off that pace around mile 17, but I still finished with a 2:41 PR. A celebration ensued. It's always a short turnaround to the next race, and the Bellin Run was just 2 weeks away. I had a slower than desired 10K, but it still resulted in an age group victory, but only because Meb decided not to show up this year, and thankfully Jared isn't in my age group. I had about a month before my next races, but training had to take a back seat for a couple weeks due to a transatlantic trip. We did get some runs in, including a lap around the Acropolis in Greece, and a run in Maranello, Italy, the home of Ferrari. After getting home, I had just a couple weeks to get in some speed training before the Cherry Mile. I had my doubts that I could break 5 minutes in the mile again, but I shocked myself not only by breaking 5, but also nabbing a 7-second PR. And as per usual, the Cherry Festival half marathon was just 2 days later, and my marathon fitness and mile speed carried me to a new half marathon PR as well. After 3 PRs in 3 different distances, it was time to regroup for summer training. With confidence running high, I had a great summer mileage build. I had 70+ mile weeks throughout most of August and September. This included several hot, sweaty runs, and my final workout on the Fox River Trail was the same day that Kipchoge broke the marathon world record. I was ready to chase 2:39. But my immune system had other ideas, and I almost had to drop out of Chicago before the race even started. But with the miracle of Dayquil and a lot of peer pressure on a text thread, I headed out to the start line at last minute. The race actually started out great. My legs felt fresh, and 6:05 pace felt easy. But as expected with my illness, I crashed in the second half, and I split 1:20 and 1:39. I was happy just to gut it out and finish, but I feel like it was a missed opportunity, so I immediately signed up for Chicago again next year. Post-Chicago, there was limited time to get in some beautiful autumn runs before New York. I recovered surprisingly quickly after Chicago, so I was able to get 4 good weeks of runs in. But before we knew it, it was time to hop on a plane to New York City. I felt pretty much back in peak shape, but unfortunately Mother Nature had other ideas. It was 73 degrees at the start, about 25 degrees warmer than ideal. I had to switch to a much more conservative strategy than planned, but it worked out great. I ended up running 20-minute 5Ks and a slight negative split to finish in 2:48. It wasn't my best time in New York, but there were lots of smiles along the way, and it turned out to be my best World Marathon Major age group finish, finishing in 11th out of over 3,600 men. A celebration ensued. Looking back on 2022, I can honestly say it was a great year. I missed a big opportunity in Chicago, but you can never control when an illness will strike. I did PR in the Bayshore Marathon, and I had fantastic experiences in Boston and New York. I didn't get my moonshot goal of going sub 240, but that won't stop me from chasing after it in 2023. Staying healthy and consistent really is key. And I recently texted some friends and said, our bodies are destined to fail us, but that doesn't stop us from fighting Mother Nature tooth and nail. Now let's go kick Mother Nature's butt in 2023.